Donald Trump is obviously claiming victory coming out of his town hall, and even kind of defending CNN. He bleated, "People are criticizing CNN for giving me a capital F forum to tell the truth." I believe it was a very smart thing that they did with sky high ratings that they haven't seen in a very long time. It was by far the biggest capital S show of the night, the week, and the month. It was the most watched program on cable news, yes, that day. So that's fair. It got 3.1 million viewers, which in the context of cable news is good. Well, it's particularly good for CNN. I don't know if that's particularly good for Fox for some of their shows. It wasn't the ratings draw that some of the Trump, debates or town halls were back in 2016, but it is still early. Maybe if they do this again in 6 months, which they will, maybe it'll do better then. I don't know. He went on to say the radical left screamed, take it down during the show because they saw that I was making so many important points on the border, energy independence, the Afghanistan catastrophe, inflation, the economy, which he wants them to default on the debt. Russia, Ukraine, which I won't say who should win, who's to say. Many minds were changed on Wednesday night by listening to common sense and sheer, in quotation marks, brilliance. If he's going to refer to his own speech as brilliance, I do appreciate him putting quotation marks around it. Brett, what do you think?
So I'm seeing that Tucker Carlson was getting about 3 million viewers as the highest rated show in cable news. Yeah.
So this is good for CNN then.
It's fine. I don't know. Everything is in realignment in America right now. I don't know where it's going to shake out. CNN has a lot of like headwinds and I don't think what they're doing now is particularly beneficial because they were always the ones that tried to appeal to quote both sides. Yeah. They never really took a firm stance one way or another, and that's what they had going against them in a news environment that reinforces partisanship. So they were always up a creek in their decision making, and it's just similar to how their rules were. They're just making a lot of decisions that aren't actually solving the problem they have. They're just making decisions to, like, they're losing. They lost to Trump. Trump's gonna say nice things about them because they just did something that was beneficial to him. He reinforces that behavior. But don't confuse that with loyalty or friendliness. He's going to give you positive reinforcement so long as you're helping him, and negative reinforcement as long as you're not. Because when he was on that stage, he was disrespecting CNN. He was disrespecting the former Daily Caller reporter Caitlin Collins, who's been on Fox News to say that George Soros is a foreign-born communist who's trying to change our lives and have open borders. And they gave him a former Daily Caller reporter, and he still treated her like trash and walked right over him. And that is how Donald Trump won the primary in 2016. He went to all the people who were like, you can't do this. This is CNN. And he said, watch me now. He got everything he wanted.
Oh, he totally did. And I really do think he will. Like if what they wanted was for the ratings, but then also, for these conversations to be happening, I suppose, I think they're still worth having. But if that's what they wanted, then they got what they wanted. So they're almost certainly gonna do it again. I would imagine the first is gonna be the most successful, but I could be wrong. I think that we could still very much be in a lull where some people are tapped out of politics from the last election. They're taking some time off and they'll eventually re-engage. That is possible. In any event.
If I was at CNN, I would do the next one with Donald Trump and like someone he could just smack the crap out of, just like an Asa Hutchinson. A what?
Maybe a DeSantis, honestly.
No, don't do a DeSantis. You keep that. The next one is like people are gonna get tired of just having Trump go up. It's gonna be the same thing because he says the same thing every time he's there. You need to give him a different format that's still friendly to him for him to show up and agree to go up against like someone who's running against him, or Kennedy. Or get like Marianne Williamson on there if I was him. Be like, oh, hey, I'll debate the people that Biden's afraid to debate.
That's a clever framing. I would watch that.
Right.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. In any event, look, if you are one of the people working at CNN, if you theoretically didn't want this to happen, then I guess this puts you in a little bit of a tough patch. But also, it's CNN. How surprised can you actually be?
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.